everybody, welcome back to the Somerset Survival Series. This is now episode 3. So today is going to be the day that we get some chickens into this little area here. So I've not done anything since the last episode. Picked up those loose logs that we lost on the way to the sawmill. We'll get them down in a moment and just kind of leave them here somewhere. And then we need to move on to this area. So I've been looking at mods. I shall show you very quickly now. There are some mods that I've used previously. I've gone away from the idea of using the husbandry, the open husbandry mods, mainly because, again, sticking with this realism, this one here, although it's great and it does fit in there quite well, it holds 150 chickens. Now, I will buy chickens and I will buy a cockerel, and I do know that they breed insanely fast, and what I don't want to do is have 150 chickens within a couple of game months, because the amount of eggs they produce would just be too much, and again it's going to lose some of that basic challenge, which is what I like. So I'm going to go back to the mod which comes as part of the Elk Mountain packs. I believe when you download that map, the Wyoming map, these come as part of the ranch set and the extended ranch set. So I've used this one before. It's quite similar to the husbandry mod, to be honest with you, but I do quite like the look of it. So that's the one we're going to go for. Now the downside to that is, as you can tell, it is more money. In fact, it's double the amount of money. However, I do feel it's the right thing to do. So that's what we want to do. Now we need to consider the costing of buying the crate to put the chickens in, because again I mentioned that if we do get animals, that's how I want to do it. Now I believe that is actually classed as animal transport. Yeah, we go there, that's the one. So we need to get one of them. £500. I can't remember how many it holds. It doesn't actually tell you, I don't think, in any way, even in this description. No, it doesn't tell you. So we'll have to just buy one and potentially do a couple of trips, which isn't a problem. That Elk Mountain chicken coop holds 40, which is much more realistic. So I think maybe buying 10 and a cockerel. Eventually they will breed, and they'll obviously fill that capacity, produce some more eggs, but I think it's just a more realistic rate. Again, in real life, the eggs are not worth anywhere near as much money as what they are in this game. So that's what we need to do, and then we're going to need to get I'll show you the wheelbarrow, which is £80. There is a cheaper one, but I've had issues with that before, and I know that, again, some of the other YouTubers that I follow and I watch quite a lot of, they have had similar issues, so we'll avoid that one. We'll go for the £80 one, and then we are going to need to get some form of chicken food or wheat, and again, part of the mini mods I have installed. In the big bag section, this is your standard game one, which is expensive, 1,000 litres for £1,400. But I have over time installed various mods. Now, to start off with, this is probably going to be a more realistic start. So, for example, a bag of sorghum, 100 litres for £50. Wheat we've got there. It does actually have an option, I noticed before, for chicken feed. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's no benefit to buying something called chicken feed over what there would be to buying wheat or sorghum, or even a bag of barley. So I'm not too sure about that. I think, to be honest, we'll buy the one that's called chicken feed and just see if it makes any difference. But we're going to need to get a couple of them, to be honest. That's not going to give us a great deal, but it will certainly start us off, and given that we're spending twice the amount I thought we'd have to on the actual chicken coop, to be honest, I think that's probably how we'll have to get by for a moment or two. Now, just one other thing. I thought when I downloaded the map it said in the description this map had unique transport missions. Now, I assumed that they were missions where you could actually transport a bit like you used to be able to do back in FS19 and FS17, I believe you could, but it doesn't seem to be an option. So when I check through the contracts, they're just standard contracts. Now, you've got the supply and transport ones here, but that's just because I've installed that mod. Now, whether or not it means they're unique to this particular mod and they've made it more realistic, I don't know. But it's a shame, really. I was kind of hoping with our little van we'd be able to do some transport missions and just make a little bit of extra side cash, but that doesn't matter. If I'm doing something wrong, I'll keep reading and try and figure it out. And if any of you guys that are watching know what I'm doing wrong, or I've played on this map before and you know how to get those transport missions, then please do let me know, because I was kind of hoping potentially that could be a good way to start. But I have noticed as well on the trees or the wood, I thought some of them last month was at its best price, and it was in August. 3006, I think we got it to about 3030. But interestingly, they are now pretty much at their lowest, and they sell for 2995. So actually, they're pretty consistent. No matter what month of the year we're actually selling wood in, it seems that the price isn't going to vary that much. So I mentioned in the last episode we have got a fair few more trees, and not a huge amount because I didn't want to start it off with too much too easy, but we have got some backups around the back of the sheds here. So if we get desperate, which we may do in this episode by the time we buy all of these little bits, then we can look at doing some more of that. Also, potentially, to be honest, I think the collectibles which we have spotted at the sawmill, I may pick up one or two more of those, depending on how this works out. So, for a minute, what I'll do is I'll place the chicken coop, do a tiny little bit of landscaping just in that area, just to make it look kind of real. No doubt it's going to do something a bit strange with the actual land and the flatness of the land, but hopefully it won't be too bad. So I'm just going to jump in, save it a moment, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, game's all saved, so let's give this a go. Now, I do like to do a little bit of landscaping, and we are going to make sure this looks pretty good. So I'm thinking it needs to stay inside this area. And this area kind of naturally, I haven't cleared anything yet, but there aren't a lot of bushes and things here, so I think that this sort of area is going to work pretty well. Now the food is there to the right hand side, that's where you put the food, and I believe to the left hand side of the coop is where you collect the pallets, which is fine because it's open. We'll reverse the van in, and we'll be able to load them up into the back. So I think here is going to be the right place. Now, I don't want to go for the old V option where it allows you to free place, because I'm a bit concerned it may not level off the pallet location too well. So I think we're going to have to do the extra bit of money, allow it to level out. I'm assuming it's just going to level out the very top section, and then I'll do a bit of smoothing and a little bit of terrain editing just to try and make it fit in with the land still. So I'm just going to do it. I have saved it, but we'll get it right first time, I'm sure. Okay, so let's have a little look at this. First of all, let's sort this. Now, I've not installed any mods to allow this to be free, no free terrain mods, so we are having to, I believe, pay for this. Or are we? Well, the money isn't going down now. I didn't think I've installed this mod. However, when I play various online servers, you tend to have to download the mods that are part of it. So it could well be. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to do this now. And I will make sure that by the end of this episode or the start of the next one, that has been turned back on. Because I don't like that. I think if I'm going to adjust something, I should be paying for it. But to be honest, this really wouldn't be very much at all anyway. Now let's just have a look. Let's do just a little bit of mod around this area. No, I'm gonna have to just jump out a minute and turn the blue thing off, because that is quite frustrating. What do I do? There we go. Right, move back out of the way. Jump back into that screen. Okay. That actually came out quite well. I quite like that. And that's not too bad either. So it has flattened it a bit, you can kind of see there. So I am going to smooth a little bit. Yeah, you can definitely see the angle across there. So let's try and smooth that out a little bit. Not too much, because again, as the pallets spawn, they spawn at a funny angle. Sometimes it causes a bit of a weird glitch. Sometimes they seem to get stuck in the ground and you can't actually get them out. I don't want to be doing that. So I also don't want the bits like the food trough to look like it's floating. So try and do that without getting too close. Okay, that's a bit better. Let's put that corner up in there, but that's fine, I can live with that. Okay, I think that's good. Let's just have a little check. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And hopefully, when we do put chickens in here, they won't start floating around. They're normally pretty good. Like I said, I've used this before. Is that floating? Potentially that is floating, although I didn't lower that very much, so maybe that's just the standard mod. But to be honest, from here, you kind of can't tell, so that's good. I'm happy with that. So let's head to the shop. First of all, we need to buy one of those crates. So what are we at now? 2,539. Oh, so the money did go down. So it didn't actually charge for the colouring, even though that's normally £2 a go. But then I suppose I only did a very, very small section. So I was pretty certain I hadn't installed that mod. So maybe we're good on that side of it. It's obviously charged me to do the smoothing, which is fine. That's what I want. Okay, so start up the old van, head down to the shop, then we'll have a look at the map. So I memorise where the shop is, but I've no idea where the animal marketplace is, so we'll have to have a look in a second. Right, let's head on down. This seems to be the best way to get to the shop, although I think the way that we normally go probably is about the same distance. But let's just drive on a different bit of the map and see what it looks like, because I really... Oh, is that a tail happy again? I do enjoy this map. I really like the layout. Again, I keep saying it, it just reminds me of where I'm from, really. Very, very similar. And it's kind of unusual because I'm not used to driving on the actual correct side of the road, because I play so many maps which I drive on the opposite side of the road. So even though I do this every day in real life, I keep forgetting to do it on this map. Right, let's drift that around that corner. Let's get us one of these animal crates. Okay, so this doesn't change. I will continue to check that all the time. I think you have to when you play one of these sort of game modes like this. You have to keep an eye on what's cheap. But right, so let's buy one of those. Now again, without using super strength. Let's see if we can pick that up. Now I'm assuming you can pick that up. Whether or not I can pick that up once there's chickens in it, I don't know. But when we get to the animal dealership, in theory, we can load this up. Yeah, it does. We can load this up whilst it's still in the back. Is it going to fit? Kind of. Do we think, while we are here, let's get the wheelbarrow. Let's save a bit of toing and throwing and just get that while we're here. Now, wheel setup. Okay, don't cost, I prefer that. Does it charge us to change the colour? No. Right, so let's go for an old black one. Red. Good, I like that. That would do. So, £80. We can just about afford that still. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, as long as it's empty, you can pick this up. If it's not empty, you can't. Now, that's not ideal. Although the animation will probably allow me to close the door. Oh, it's not going to look amazing. I wonder if I can get it out there. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. Self-leveling wheelbarrow. It's quite impressive. Right, come on then. No. I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but I've seen much worse driving around here, that's for sure. That's probably about average for this kind of area. Just stick it up there wherever you can. Right, that would do. Look at that. Safety. So, animal dealership, that's right. I need to figure out where that is. It's not there. There. Brilliant. Okay, right, so let's go past where the sawmill is and then around the corner. 1, 2, second right. Alright, let's give it a go. Hopefully we don't use our wheelbarrow on the way. I'm forgetting one thing actually. So we've put the wheelbarrow on just to save hassle of coming back to the shop. But I haven't actually bought the seed bags, and or the wheat bags I should say, and I'll have to come back anyway. So let's just get some of these while we're here. Now I have no idea, I cannot remember what the maximum capacity is for the chickens in terms of food. So I imagine it's quite a bit. So let's get a few. Well, that's quite cool. Put some all in a pile. I like that. Right, let's jump out. I'm assuming I won't be able to pick them all up. Let's try it. No. Okay, it's fine. One at a time. So, 200, 300, 600 litres. 600 litres. So, I mean, this way is a heck of a lot cheaper than buying one of those pallets, that's for sure. Did that help? Well, yeah, that's good. That actually held them as well, because I've lost the hand symbol. So, again, I keep saying it, I really like this little van. I do. It's pretty good. Brilliant. Yeah, that's a lot cheaper than buying it by the pallet load with the standard in-game one. It's like nearly half the price. So this is good. We're making some progress now. Our 10 chickens and a cockerel may not necessarily generate a great deal of eggs very quickly. However, it's a nice bit of constant income in the background, and it hopefully gets us started, gets our feet off the ground. I like how there's cars and things parked in the lay-bys and stuff. It's very, it is very realistic. I really do like this map. I have installed a couple more mods as well. Actually, I'll talk about them in a second while I'm driving very badly, like I'm at a rear-wheel drive drift event. But yeah, I've installed the mod and I've never used it, but it's the farmland auction mod. So I don't know how it works, to be honest. I'm sure I'll speak to someone that's used it before at some point, but from what I can gather, they essentially just put the farmlands up for sale, and you're able to kind of bid versus an AI. So I like the idea of that. It's not something we're going to be involved with very soon, but I like the idea of it, and it is something that we can do in the future. And I think, to be honest, that would help to buy different areas of land around the map, rather than just buying the ones closest to the main yard, which just, you know, it makes it easier, it makes sense. I like the idea of kind of the game almost dictating which fields to buy. So again, realism, that sounds pretty good. Now I've parked a crate over this, so is it going to allow me to access the animal dealership? I don't know. Okay, so maybe if I park and get out and enter the dialogue this way. Oh yeah, chicken transport crate, the next one over, so that's great. So what do I want to do? So 6 months is when they will start to breed, so I think they produce eggs straight away. However, if I want them to start breeding, right, I think it's a given, we need to get one rooster. I have noticed, by the way, regardless of how many chickens you have, one rooster seems to pretty much sort out the breeding on its own, so must be pretty good at doing their job in this game, because I've only ever bought one of those and I've always ended up with a lot of chickens really quickly. Right, so 1 of 8. I think a couple of trips, to be honest, is what we need to do. Now, how much money do we have? 1600. These are 50 quid each. Good. Right, a couple of those, and then we'll fill up with those. So that's 8. We'll see what they look like once they're in there. We'll see how much food they take. I do wish that they had a little animation in these, you know. It's the same with all of the animal transport trailers and things. They kind of stay perfectly still. They're pretty well behaved animals. But it would be quite cool if they had a bit of animation. Whether or not that's something that will come out soon, potentially, I don't know. This van is certainly feeling the weight now. Those chickens must have ate quite a bit, because it's struggling all of a sudden. Anyway, we'll see what these look like. We'll see how much food. I'm not sure if this is the kind of animal coop that, as you increase the animals, you can also increase the amount of food that they take. But we shall see. So we'll just head back now. I've also been thinking, to be honest with you, so and it's looking pretty good. So we've still got £1,400, and that is just for another another income, I guess, really. So we have got the wood, but I don't want to be chopping wood down all the time. We have now got some chickens, but they are really not going to produce that many eggs that quickly. We are a long way away from getting a harvester to start doing some field work, because obviously the field's ready to go. We've started with the field ready to go, therefore we need to get some form of harvester first, just so we can start to get into the actual field work. But I am thinking about a greenhouse. Now, when the game first came out, greenhouses were great, and I've kind of not used them too much since, to be honest with you. So I think it would be nice for me to go back to basics, go back when we first got the game, because I know that every time I started a game, whether it was multiplayer, whether it was single player, the greenhouse was always one of the obvious first things to go for. Oh, someone's hit that sign there, look. That wasn't me. Oh wow, look at this. So I didn't realise it did this, so it's actually got flooding on the map. That is cool. That is really cool. I wonder if that's going to affect our field day. Because I was thinking just here to the left, that would be quite a good little spot to put a greenhouse. It would be ideal if the water tank's fillable from this flooded area. That would be even better. But I was thinking greenhouse. I think they're £2,000, I think. It's not the standard in-game one that I was thinking of, but it is the standard looking one, so it looks the same as the standard in-game one, but I believe it's the one that gives you the option of adding additional fertilizer and things. So it's one of the various mods that I've installed. I will load it up in a moment and have a look. Now, where was there? The dialogue box. So we're kind of, at the minute it's fine because there's no animals running around, but let's see if we can get that close enough to actually unload these chickens. Is it going to recognise? Oh, it does. Brilliant. So let's move them. Move them. Move them. Great. That's what they like. And that's good. So yeah, they're definitely not floating around, which is great, because that would have been a bit frustrating. That would have been one of those reload the save game kind of things and start again, because that probably would have irritated me. But that's great, that looks pretty good. I tell you what, again, on the realism though, I am going to have to put a tiny little bit of fence there, just so from a real life point of view they don't decide to run away into someone else's field. So right, let's get back into this. Now I am going to mark this up back up here. Potentially we'll make another trip in a mo, but let's just see how this goes. Let's open the door. I do have the mod that allows you to open door and do various animations from the outside, but I just keep forgetting to activate it, so I might do that. Whether or not it will work with this modification, this van, I'm not too sure. But right, so hopefully I've not tried this, and that is tipping the bags into the wheelbarrow. So we'll just give this a little go. Is it gonna? Oh yeah, it does work. Great. Brilliant. That wheelbarrow does not hold a great deal by the look of it. Can we get 3 bags in there? Okay, 2 and a bit. Now what we got left? 42 litres, so about 2.5 bags. Brilliant. So, yeah, you'll notice now that the hand is red. We cannot pick that up anymore, but I'm pretty sure you can pour directly into the food trough using this. I'm sure it works, so let's just give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, because we can pick it all up again anyway. Oh, there we go. So it says you can't. Yeah, clearly you can. That's great. That's cool. I like that. Now let's have a quick look. Animals. So total capacity. So yeah. Actually, that's not a very big capacity at all. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I reckon we'll go down, do one more load of chickens, and just see if that red bar moves. See if it goes down further because it's allowing us to put more food in. But we might as well, while we're here, empty the van, chuck these other bags in, and then we'll head down and get some more. Now I'm just trying to keep an eye on time. I mentioned in the last one I've been trying to keep the videos to about 20 minutes, but I've been speaking to some friends, some fellow YouTubers. He's a really good friend of mine. He's kind of borderline considered my mentor in my eyes, anyway. And he's mentioned that 30 to 40 minutes are the kind of preference for his viewers. So I think I'm going to move away from the 20 and just see how they how they do around 30 to 40 minutes. I'll just do the next couple that long. To be honest with you, it was when I did a 20-minute recording in the last episode, it went a bit too quick, and I felt like all I really achieved was doing more wood again. So I think I was pushing it, keeping them too short. So I'm not keeping track of time too much this time. Oh no, can I still pick this up? Oh dear. Okay, right. Note for future. Don't knock it over. Don't knock it over. Now, I'll see if I can level this a minute without using super strength, but I'll consider this a teething issue, and we'll just do a little cheeky lift. Okay, super strength is back off. I don't know if any of you have ever used it, but sometimes when you do use super strength and then you forget to turn it back off, if you use controls, for me I'm using an Xbox controller at the minute, you press X to get into the vehicle. It's also the same button as throwing, and you end up throwing your vehicle, your car, halfway across the map. Maybe not quite halfway, that was an exaggeration, but you do end up throwing it, which is a bit annoying when you want to get into it and you end up rolling it over instead. So got to remember to turn that off. Guessing he's a bit hungry. Right, okay. I wonder if. Okay, this is like a bike moment. If you've seen the other series which I started doing, which was my first series, you know what I mean by that. That has a few issues with the bike, which every time I turn too tightly, does not go very well. And I've had various people commenting on how ridiculous it is. But okay, so good news is I can just pull that straight into there for future as well. So we'll keep the wheelbarrow for when we actually able to buy some proper big bags and pallets. I don't want to be doing it handballing it with those bags every time. But for a minute, that works pretty well, and we could just reverse the van up in there and just chuck those bags straight in. So that's pretty good. Now we'll leave the crate in. What do we do? £1,400. So let's have a look. I'll just jump back over to a mouse a minute. Right, so let's just jump into here and I'll show you what I'm thinking of in reference to the greenhouse. And it's not something that we're able to do now. We've kind of spent ourselves out of doing this straight away, but it is nice to have some ideas. So this is the game one, which is a decent one. This is the one that I used to use right at the very beginning. Just accepts water, produces you some decent product to sell. This is the one that I am thinking of though, so it's very much the same one. looks exactly the same. The only difference is it's the one that allows you to put extra things, so the manure, the seeds, various fertilizer into it. Now I don't believe you have to, but if you do, it gives you a better yield. So we could still start off with just water. There is a filling point on this map, albeit it is quite far away, but again, it's all about the realism. So I'm kind of thinking, to be honest, I mean that also looks pretty good there. So somewhere like that, potentially it could go there. The only thing I worry about is if we do start with the cheap harvester, especially the trailing one, that is not going to work there. That is going to be in the way, but it could work there. I think so. Even if it's a little bit under the tree, that gives us enough gap. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And that potentially is our next priority in the next episodes which come up, I'm sure. I do think starting small. We don't have a big enough area yet to be going bigger than that. Obviously this is all that we have, this is it, and that tiny area behind there which we could use potentially at some point anyway, but that's the next priority. So for a minute, let's not worry about that. What I am going to do is head back to the animal dealership with the crate still in the back, purchase another 8 chickens, and yeah, we'll leave it as that. Probably be skipped forward to the next day by the time I start the next episode, so let's just speed up that time very quickly. Which way was it? This way again, wasn't it? So I'll just I'll cut it here, I won't time lapse. Okay, here we are back at the I don't say farm, back at the yard. Now all I've done, I've just quickly, I cut it there, but I just drove to the animal dealership. I bought 8 of the cheapest ones. I think they're like £5 each, so it's like 40 quid. They don't reproduce yet, they just make some eggs, which is fine by us, so that puts us to 16, which is good. Hopefully we can get a few eggs. Now I have noticed, just before I unload them, the eggs, wherever they are, oh, no selling point available. Okay, interesting. Well, their best price, even though there's no places to sell them, they still have prices, which is kind of strange. But £4,200 in November. So, hey, even if we get half a pallet in the next 2 game months, that works pretty good. So that gives us a tiny little bit of a boost. So potentially that'll pay for a greenhouse, which is great. Now, we're going to have to do something about the no selling point available. Now, I am going to put somewhere in, now that I've realised that, part of the challenge is to do it realistically, but these places do need to have seller points available. I can't really think of any kind of towns or areas that doesn't buy eggs. I think there's a couple of mods that I've seen, like an egg selling tent, for example. So I'll do something, I'll have a look at it. Wherever I place it, it's going to be realistic. It's not going to be right outside this yard. I'll put it somewhere near the far end of the map, somewhere that we haven't actually been yet. It'd be nice to explore a little bit, so I'll have to look at that. And to be honest, while I'm talking about it, I've also realised there isn't actually a service point, kind of like a maintenance point where you can repair or fix up vehicles. That doesn't seem to be something that was standard on the game, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of landscaping on that as well. I think maybe I'll do that beginning of the next episode. I might even record it, I might time lapse it and speed it up a little bit, but I might record it just so you can see where I put it. I think that's a good idea. But anyway, let's unload these. So 8 of those there, as you can see, they are the cheaper ones, the younger ones, which are worth £0. So we've already lost 40 quid. That's a good start. Anyway, did it affect the food? No. So about a third of the way full, which is fine. I'm curious to see how much of that just shy of 600 litres lasts. So just one final thing to do. Just quickly before we finish the episode, and I'll move on to recording the next one, and that is just a sleep trigger. Now, again, trying to be realistic, we'll buy a tent, or we'll buy something, and we'll put it underneath one of these, just so we have somewhere to sleep. Because certainly now we've done what we can do for the day. We've got just under £1,400, so we'll move on to the next day, see if we do produce any eggs, and then I'll get editing and just see what I can do with some of these sell points. So let's have a look. What's our cheapest option? I do love that mod, the placeable mat, but that's only good if you've got some form of house or something you want to turn into kind of role play where you live. However, that doesn't suit where we are because we don't have that. So it needs to be some form of tent. I've never used that, but I do like that. Maybe we'll save up for that. It looks like a good mod. Now that is a good one, £500. However, I won't use that. I've used that in my other series. But let's use that, and let's use that over here. Not enough money. There we go. Brilliant. Right, again, my slight obsession with landscaping. Let's fix that just a little bit. Good, I like that. Can we get rid of that? Can we not get rid of that bush? There we go. Great, I'm happy with that. That looks good. Brilliant, so that's it. So going to finish it there. I am going to use that sleep trigger, jump into the next day and record the episode on the next day. But so far so good. So 16 chickens, or 15 chickens and a rooster. Hopefully start producing eggs, which I believe are going to make an appearance here. And we'll just figure out now, skip a day, see how far that 600 litres takes us. Potentially work out how many eggs we get to 600 litres, and then plan, I think, for the greenhouse, which will definitely go over there somewhere. So great, thank you again for watching. If you did decide to come back and watch another episode, I really appreciate it. If this is your first time, there are a couple more episodes before this. Please do take a look, and also have a little look at my other series, which was my first attempt. I put quite a lot of effort into doing the story, and I quite enjoy doing it, and hopefully the story's a little bit different, a little bit more realistic, a bit more roleplay, and you kind of appreciate the effort and you like the idea of the storyline. So yeah, thank you very much. Please give it a like just so I know that I'm doing an alright job. But regardless, I'm having fun, and that's all that matters. So I'll catch you again soon. Thank you very much.